Happy holidays to everyone watching. This is Representative Rick Larsen, Ranking Member of the House Transportation Committee on Infrastructure and Transportation, or as we call it, the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. This is the fastest 3 minutes in transportation. T&I Democrats certainly hit it out of the park this year. If you're as new to T&I as Cleveland's light rail fleet, then keep watching to catch up on what you have missed. In January, we drafted a team of subcommittee ranking members: Steve Cohen, Luke Carbajal, Dita Titus, Eleanor Holmes Norton, Donald Payne Jr., and Grace Napolitano, along with our vice ranking members: Greg Stanton, Mary Patola, Hillary Skolton, Shreese Davids, Val Hoyle, Valerie Fushi, and Amelia Sykes. Special thanks to these all-stars for getting our FAA reauthorization ready for takeoff, putting out fires, ensuring the Coast Guard is semper paratus, and the wheels on the bus go round and round, keeping the trains on schedule and our water infrastructure afloat. Here at T&I Dems, there are no weak links.
You are the weakest link.
But in February, the committee held a hearing to discuss strengthening our transportation systems and supply chains to drive the economy and continue lowering costs for our families in America. And by March, we had airplanes on our minds, but don't call me Shirley.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Throughout the spring, the committee held a series of hearings to inform our work to reauthorize the Federal Aviation Administration, which resulted in this hearing growth and robust leadership in American Aviation Act. This bipartisan legislation will maintain America's gold standard in safety, preserve our competitive edge in innovation, invest in our workforce, better protect consumer rights, strengthen airport accessibility, and make the sector greener and cleaner. What can't this bill improve? Well, nothing if the Senate doesn't act to get a final bill to the president's desk. In April, the committee hosted members of Congress from across the country to learn about infrastructure priorities for their communities. The common theme: the bipartisan infrastructure law is working. It is providing game-changing investments in roads, bridges, transit systems, freight and passenger rail pipelines, ports, airports, and water infrastructure. There were as many balloons as members that day because nothing says party like no potholes. Then the committee steered the ship in the right direction and passed the Bipartisan Coast Guard Reauthorization Act, empowering the United States Coast Guard to carry out its critical missions to safeguard the nation's waters and to better support service members who face an ever-growing list of demands. Most important, prepare to talk preparation. As we headed into May, we talked FEMA and disaster readiness, which is an ever-long issue in times like these before future natural disasters throw a monkey wrench into communities across the country. And for those who missed it, that was a lot of Foo Fighters references. Over the summer, we were all aboard for Amtrak. People rely on trains to get where they need to be. Committee members spoke with Amtrak officials to make sure riders can do so in a cleaner, greener, safer, and more accessible and reliable way. And in August, T&I Chair Sam Graves visited my district to discuss how infrastructure investments work and how they're making the Northwest Eddie better. Let me back up. Let me say that again. Eddie better. Is this thing on? I want to hear a joke about infrastructure funding, the bipartisan infrastructure law, because everyone will get it. In September, Secretary Pete Buttigieg testified before the committee about the bipartisan infrastructure law and how Congress can ensure its continued success. His testimony certainly showed that our infrastructure can work for all Americans when both sides of the aisle come together to invest in our communities, restoring highways and bridges, improving airport accessibility, upgrading port infrastructure, and yet even more. And in October of this year, we introduced the Clean Water Act of 2023 with support of more than 130 of my Democratic colleagues to slip and slide out of the Sackett decision. It ensures the protection of our rivers, streams, or wetlands for generations to come and guarantees clean water access to all Americans. In November, we celebrated 2 years of the BIL, whether it's funding for intercity passenger rail in the Northeast, animal crossings in the Midwest, ferry service in the Pacific Northwest, or airports in the South. This funding is making sure that the only one left behind this holiday season is Kevin McAllister. Mario isn't the only one with an appreciation for pipes. I frankly don't get that reference, but this month we advanced the Bipartisan Pipes Act of 2023 out of committee. This legislation authorizes America's pipeline safety programs to ensure the nation's 3.4 million miles of pipeline remain a safe way of transporting the energy products we rely on every day. Well, that's it for me, folks. We'll see you next year when the T&I Democrats are back in the driver's seat. Destination: a cleaner, greener, safer, more accessible transportation and infrastructure for our communities across the country. That is the longest and fastest 3 minutes you will ever hear in your entire life.